Life won't wait to be fair. It will bruise you, bless you, break you, and build you again. No textbook will teach you to rise after betrayal or walk proud while empty. You must learn to bleed with grace and still sing, because even the moon shines after surviving the night. It does not wear spectacles nor stand at a podium, but it teaches with more certainty than any learned scholar. You don't raise your hand to speak in its classroom. You cry, you tremble, you scream in silence. Yet somehow, when the pain eases, you realize it has taught you something no gentle moment ever could. There are truths only suffering knows how to tell. Pain does not ask for appointments. It walks in unannounced, sits across from you in the dark corners of your soul, and demands your attention. And you listen because you must. It teaches you about endings, about the slow fading of something you once held dear, a relationship, a hope, a dream. It whispers to you in sleepless nights and aching mornings. You cannot go back to who you were, and just like that, you are a student of life's hardest truths. Nobody graduates from pain, not really. You just become fluent in its language. You begin to understand that the tears were not weakness, but cleansing. That the ache in your chest was your heart stretching to hold more than you thought it could. You learn that silence can be more instructive than noise, and that loneliness teaches you who you truly are when there is no one left to perform for. People often try to run from pain, to smother it in distraction, in noise, in people. But pain is patient. It waits. It knows that once you sit with it long enough, you'll begin to uncover parts of yourself you never met before. The resilient one, the one who can still walk with dignity when her world has shattered, the one who can lose everything and yet remain kind. Pain teaches empathy. When you've known what it's like to be broken, you no longer rush to judge someone else's scars. You don't flinch when others cry, you nod. You've been there. You know the vocabulary of heartache and the dialect of disappointment. Pain shapes the way you love, the way you listen, the way you move through the world, softer, slower, wiser. There's no curriculum for this kind of learning, no degree to be earned, but there is growth, raw, sacred, and irreversible. You learn to thank the moments that once felt unbearable because they birthed the strength in your bones. They made you honest. They made you human. Pain does not play favorites. It visits the rich and poor, the loved and the lonely. But those who choose to listen to it, to really listen, come out different. Not better, necessarily, but deeper. They walk with a knowing. They look at others and see not just faces, but whole lives, full of battles fought in silence, grief held with grace, and dreams rebuilt after devastation. And somewhere along the way, you realize pain was not there to punish you. It was there to reveal you, to peel back the layers of who you thought you were so you could meet who you really are. A soul capable of rising, a spirit too strong to stay down, a being woven of fire and forgiveness. Pain is a professor. Its lessons do not come with applause or recognition, but they stay with you long after the ache has faded. And in the quiet that follows the storm, you hear it clearly, its final tender message. You survived, now teach others how to. It enters with a softness that disarms you. It speaks in tender tones, wraps itself in promises, and dances in the warmth of your chest like sunlight through lace. But love, real love, deep love, even the imitation of love, has teeth. And sometimes it bites the hand that opens its heart. No one tells you that love, the thing so many seek, can also break you in ways nothing else can. It is not hate that haunts us the longest. It is the memory of love turned cold. The voice that once called you beautiful now speaks in silence. The hands that once held you like something sacred become strangers. And you, still standing in the ruins of what was, must face the truth that love, too, can be cruel. Love wounds not always because it intends to. Sometimes it wounds simply because we hope too much. We made gods out of people who were just learning to be human. We gave our whole selves to someone who only wanted a chapter. We misunderstood kindness for commitment or presence for permanence. And when it ends, when the good mornings become goodbyes, you are left holding pieces of yourself you didn't know you gave away. But not all wounding is visible. Love wounds in the quiet too, in staying when it's no longer safe, in shrinking yourself to fit someone else's comfort, in giving and giving, hoping it will finally be enough. You wear a smile like armor, while inside, parts of you are bleeding unseen. The wound is not always betrayal. Sometimes it's neglect. Sometimes it's indifference. Sometimes it's loving someone who cannot love you back. Love can wound in family too. In the parent who never said, "I'm proud of you," in the sibling who used your secrets as weapons, in the lover who swore they'd stay and left when you needed them most. Even in friendship, love can cut. The silence of a once familiar voice, the absence of someone who said forever. These wounds don't bleed on the outside, but they scar the soul just the same. Yet even in its cruelty, love teaches. It shows us the difference between being held and being used, between someone who loves the idea of you and someone who can love you at your worst. It teaches you that your worth is not tied to who stays or who goes, but to the way you choose to keep loving, even after heartbreak. There is a quiet kind of courage in loving again after being hurt, in trusting someone with your softness when the world taught you to be sharp, in choosing vulnerability over walls and connection over protection. You learn that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means loving smarter. It means recognizing the red flags you once painted white. It means refusing to let pain make a home inside your heart. Love wounds, but it also reveals. It shows you your boundaries. It shows you your depth. It shows you that your capacity to love was never the problem. It was just given to the wrong person, at the wrong time, in the wrong way. And now, wiser, fuller, gentler, you carry your scars not as shame, but as proof that you dared to feel deeply. Love can wound, but even in the wounding, there is something holy, because the very fact that you could be hurt means you had the courage to open, to give, to trust. That is not weakness. That is the mark of someone alive, someone growing, someone still believing that love, when true, is still worth the risk. It doesn't whisper, it echoes. It walks behind you like a shadow with no face, follows you into crowded rooms and noisy streets, sits beside you while you're surrounded by laughter. You smile, you nod, you play the part, but deep inside, the silence screams. It calls out in the voice of everything that's missing. Loneliness is not always being alone. Sometimes it is lying next to someone who no longer reaches for you. Sometimes it's being in a home full of people and still feeling like a ghost. Sometimes it's scrolling through your phone, searching for someone to talk to, and realizing there's no one you trust with your truth. It's the kind of emptiness that cannot be filled with noise or presence. It demands something deeper, something real. You can't outrun it. Loneliness doesn't live in your environment. It lives in your chest. It nests quietly until a moment of stillness shakes it awake. A song, a memory, a pause between words. It creeps up when the day winds down, when the noise of the world dims just enough for you to hear your own heart asking, "Where is everyone?" People think loneliness is weak, but it's not. It's a human cry, ancient and sacred. To long for connection is not desperation, it's design. We were never built to go through this world untouched, unheard, unseen. And yet sometimes life places us in deserts, places where no one seems to notice our thirst, and still we walk. Loneliness teaches you how to listen to yourself. When there's no one else to validate you, you learn to speak your own name with tenderness. When there's no one to lean on, you find your spine. When there's no comfort, you become your own calm. It isn't easy. The nights are long, the days stretch like shadows. But somewhere in that hollow space, something begins to bloom: self-recognition, self-respect, self-rescue. It's easy to believe that loneliness will last forever. It wraps itself around your thoughts and tells you this is permanent, that no one will understand, that reaching out is useless. But those are lies pain loves to tell. In truth, everyone you pass has known the ache of absence. Some carry it in their silence, some wear it in their laughter, some bury it under busyness, but they have felt it. You are not alone in your loneliness. The danger lies in the pretending, in numbing the ache with distractions, in calling it independence when it's really withdrawal, in silencing your longing because the world has taught you to be self-sufficient, to need nothing, to expect even less. But that ache is not your enemy, it is your compass. It's pointing to the places within you that still believe in belonging. Sometimes the loudest part of loneliness is not the absence of others. It's the absence of being understood, of not having someone to say, I see you, all of you. But let this be the reminder. You are still worthy of that. You are still worth knowing deeply, loving gently, holding completely. Loneliness won't last forever. It may come and go, return in different shapes, wear different names, but so will healing, so will friendship, so will love. And in those moments when loneliness gets loud again, may you have the courage to sit with it, not as a punishment, but as a prayer. Because even in the quietest, most aching solitude, your soul is still speaking, and it is asking to be known. It doesn't knock politely or come dressed in soft words. It shows up bare, uninvited, and sometimes unwelcome. It doesn't wait for the perfect moment or cushion its fall. It lands hard, cuts deep, and leaves you breathless in its wake. Truth, real truth, is not here to flatter you. It's here to free you, and freedom, child, has a cost. The truth doesn't ask how ready you are, it simply arrives. It tears down illusions you've clung to for comfort, undresses lies you've told yourself to sleep at night. It reveals the face behind the mask, the weakness behind the strength, the silence behind the smile. And when it doesn't apologize. It just stands there, plain and powerful, daring you to see. There is a weight to truth that kindness alone can't carry. People think telling the truth means being cruel, but truth and cruelty are not the same. Cruelty seeks to wound, truth seeks to wake, and sometimes waking up feels like breaking. Sometimes hearing what you've avoided for so long feels like betrayal, even when it's deliverance. Truth will show you the parts of yourself you've hidden. It'll whisper about your jealousy when you pretend to be proud. It'll call out your bitterness when you dress it as boundaries. It'll shine a light on the corners of your soul you keep tucked away and ask, why are you still hiding? People will tell you the truth hurts, and they're right. But the lie hurts longer. The lie keeps you living half a life. The lie tells you that you're not enough, or that you must stay where you're not growing, that you must settle, shrink, stay quiet. The lie will dress itself up in comfort, but it will never offer peace. The truth, though sharp, though sudden, clears the fog. And once the fog lifts, you can finally see where you're going. There will be moments when someone speaks a truth that shakes you. You might feel anger rise like fire in your chest. You might feel exposed, embarrassed, even broken, but let that be your teacher, not your enemy. Ask yourself, why does this truth burn? Because often the pain is not in the truth itself, but in what it reveals about where you've been living less than you deserve. And telling the truth, that takes courage too. It means risking the love of others, risking their misunderstanding, risking their distance. But tell it anyway, not to hurt, but to heal, not to shame, but to shift. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is tell someone what they don't want to hear. Sometimes the most generous act is honesty, even when it comes wrapped in discomfort. There is a sacredness in truth-telling, a liberation. It tears down walls between souls. It invites authenticity. It says, I see you, not the version you want me to love, but the whole of you. And it says, here is me, not the polished version, but the real one. That's where the deepest connections are born, in the raw, in the real, in the unpretty truth. You must learn to carry the truth and still walk with grace. You must learn to speak it and still lead with love, because truth ain't always kind, but it's necessary. It doesn't coddle, it doesn't cater, but it creates, it builds, it births the life that lies deserve to steal from you. And once you've known the truth, truly known it, you can never unknow it. You may wrestle with it, try to tuck it away, try to soften its edges, but it stays. It stays because it is the only thing that will ever set you free. Some hands applaud with hollow palms. Some smiles are painted on faces hiding envy. You may hear your name echo in a room full of praise and still be surrounded by silent resentment. Because sometimes celebration is a disguise. Sometimes the loudest applause comes from the ones hoping you'll fall on your way back down. People will show up when you rise, not always to lift you, but to watch, to measure your ascent, to calculate how fast the wind might shift. There's a bitter truth buried in success. Not all who gather are witnesses of love. Some come out of curiosity, some out of competition, and some because your light unsettles the shadows they haven't faced in themselves. There are those who clap not because they believe in you, but because they're waiting for the moment they can say, I knew it wouldn't last. They will dress their criticism as concern, lace their compliments with subtle doubt, and sit front row with folded arms, smiling, nodding, pretending. But their hearts are not with you. Their energy is not pure. Their presence is not prayerful. Discernment becomes your protector. You must learn to read beyond the noise. Feel the temperature of the room not with your ears, but with your spirit. Pay attention to who celebrates your joy when there's nothing in it for them. Watch who shows up in your quiet wins, who claps when the cameras are off, who lifts your name in rooms you'll never enter. That's where loyalty lives. That's where love breathes. When you grow, you outgrow some people's comfort. Your evolution is not just a mirror, it is a magnifier. It reveals their stagnation, their fears, their unhealed wounds. And sometimes, rather than confront their own reflection, they choose to resent yours. So they clap, just loud enough to look supportive, just shallow enough to hide their discomfort. Do not let this change your heart. Do not let the presence of false applause harden the beauty of your becoming. Let it sharpen your awareness, not steal your joy. Let it deepen your gratitude for the genuine souls, the ones whose cheers are rooted in truth, whose support is steady even when the spotlight dims. The world will often confuse popularity with purpose, but you must not. Your calling is not a performance, and the audience is not always a reflection of your impact. Some people cheer because they see themselves in your journey. Others clap because they think they can use you, and some stay silent because they don't know how to celebrate what they have yet to become. Your job is not to measure the sincerity of every hand clap. Your job is to keep showing up with intention, to stay rooted in your why, to let your light shine not for approval, but from alignment. The truth is, those who are truly for you do not need a stage to show it. Their loyalty is quiet. Their support is consistent. Their love is action. Trust the energy more than the applause. Listen to the silence behind the sound. There will be times when the crowd roars and you still feel alone. There will be moments when the room is full, but only a few souls are truly with you. That's all right, because you weren't made for the crowd. You were made for the calling. And in the end, when the clapping fades, when the lights go out and the seat's empty, you'll be left with your truth, your work, your legacy. Let that be enough. Let that be your applause. Growth is not gentle. It doesn't ask for permission or wait for perfect timing. It demands sacrifice. To become who you were meant to be, you have to let go of who you thought you were. That version of you, the one who settled, who shrank, who played small to fit in, can't go with you into your becoming. There is a funeral no one talks about, a private, sacred letting go that doesn't come with flowers or eulogies, just a quiet ache in your chest, a knowing that something old inside you has reached its end. It might be a belief, it might be a fear, it might be a dream you've outgrown. Whatever it is, it must be buried, and not with regret, but with reverence, because that version of you did the best they could with what they had. They survived so you could arrive here at the edge of transformation. But survival isn't the same as living, and the cost of staying the same is often your becoming. You cannot carry old wounds into new beginnings. You cannot wear your past like armor and expect to dance in freedom. Change requires shedding, like a snake outgrowing its skin, like a flame consuming what no longer fuels it. You must release the weight of who you were. And yes, it hurts. It hurts to say goodbye to the familiar, even when the familiar has become a prison. It hurts to step into the unknown when you've built a life around your fears. But that pain is the labor of rebirth. It is not the end. It is the beginning of your becoming. You will miss parts of your old self, the way they trusted too easily, the way they loved without limits, the way they held on when they should have let go. But you'll also remember why you had to grow, because that version of you didn't know their worth, didn't speak their truth, didn't walk in their fullness, and now you do. Becoming is not about perfection, it's about permission. The permission to evolve, to step away from roles you no longer fit, to shatter ceilings you once thought were skies, to outgrow stories that told you who you could never be. It's about claiming your power, not as something you earn, but something you return to. Something that was always yours, buried beneath years of doubt and delay. And don't be surprised when people miss the old you. The one they could control, predict, keep small. Not everyone will understand your becoming. Some will call it selfish. Others will say you've changed. As if change isn't the point. Let them talk. Their confusion is not your concern. Your growth does not need their approval. You are allowed to be brand new. You are allowed to rise without explanation. You are allowed to rewrite your story mid-sentence. The world will adjust. And the ones meant for you will not only embrace your transformation, they will honor it. They will meet you in your becoming, not try to drag you back to your burying. So stand at the grave of who you once were. Thank them, bless them, then walk away with your head high, your spine straight, and your spirit open, because a new you is waiting to be born. Not perfect, not polished, but whole. And that version of you, the one rising from the ashes, is who you were always meant to be. All of it. Every ache, every echo, every unkind truth, every false cheer, every quiet grief of shedding your old skin has been leading you here. These brutal life lessons, the ones no one teaches you, are not punishments. They are preparations. They carve you open, not to break you, but to make room. Room for wisdom, room for courage, room for the kind of strength that can only rise from ruin.